My alarm woke me up at 5 o'clock, like every morning. I went to run in the Hogwarts ground. It was still dark. There was only the caretaker around. He knows of my habit and leaves open the gate for me. I made 2 turns of the lake, and then my workout. I watched the sun rising, which is always nice. It reminds me summertime, when Dad came to wake me up at dawn to go to run. I was always grumbling mutinously, but secretly I was very pleased. He has never done it with Albus. It was only me and him. Returning to the castle, my mood always sours up. I climbed tiredly the flight of stairs to the common room. Everybody is still sleeping soundly. I never managed to coax Francis or Patrick to come with me. They think I'm a nutter. I go to the bathroom, I take a shower, and I observe myself in the mirror. I look great, and I feel like shit, as usual. I prepare to go down for breakfast, wondering what exciting nothingness is waiting for me today. I yank Francis to wake him up. He has enough strength only to stick up 2 fingers quite resentfully, turning to the other side. I smirk, and I go down by myself. No many people around. That's good. At least I can get my breakfast quietly. It's tiring to keep on my mask so early in the morning. While I'm eating, Francis and Patrick catch up yawning. I welcome them grinning. How can you be so fucking energetic at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'd like to know? Francis frowns, slumping on the bench in front of me, and rests his head on his hand while putting some cereals in a bowl. I'd like to know too. Patrick follows up, blurry eyes, trying to catch some sausages with his fork from a serving plate and missing twice. Because while you 2 losers were sleeping like idiots, I was working out. You'd feel energetic too if you'd follow my advice and work up with me. What time exactly do you think we should wake up? Patrick asks mockingly. He knows it very well. 5, I answer anyway. Francis, pretending to cough, utter, nutter, at which we all snigger. I might be a nutter, but at least I don't look like an infant in the morning. I can climb up the astronomy tower without risking a stroke, and I get babes easily enough, I say. You forget them even waking up at 10. Bloody Potter. Patrick says, yawning, stirring lazily a spoon in his milk. Did you check the new babe in Slytherin? Francis murmurs conspiratorial, suddenly very much awake, leaning eagerly toward us. She's a Yankee, just moved here. She's proper fit. We all turn our gaze to their table, as Francis nods in direction of a group of babes on the far end, chatting animatedly. Which one? Patrick asks. The blonde one. They are all blonde, for Christ's sake, I retort. Big teeth, sexy mouth, on the right of the ugly one. A silence of appreciation follows. Do know, I say morose, returning to my toast. You know how I feel about dating Slytherin. Who says anything about dating? Francis sniggers. I glance up again, just in time to glimpse the ugly one pointing at me and whispering in the Yankee's ear. They avert their eyes, tittering, realizing I spotted them. She has got a sexy mouth and big teeth. Perhaps I'll make an exception. At that point, Moini, the one who called herself my girlfriend, I don't remember acknowledging her as such, sits on my side, puts an arm around my neck, and smacks a kiss on my cheek. Morning, Potter, she coos. Hey, I mutter, not too enthusiastically. I swear to God I cannot stand the bloody girl. She bores me out of my wits, always ranting about her father's super-duper friends, her villa in the south of France, how important her family is. He's dead, owns something, or he's in politics. I don't know exactly which one. I cannot focus when she speaks. Since we got together, she's trying to trap me with an invitation over their place in Sama. Yeah, dream on. I'm not even sure I'll stand there until the end of the week, let alone a summer. And then I want to spend some time with Sunrise. I got her an amazing teddy bear. If you tap it with your wand, it starts to move and growl. She's gonna love it. She's at the barrow right now. I asked Grandma to send me daily updates, but I don't trust what she writes. She only wants me to believe everything is fine to keep me quiet here. I didn't want to get back. She was in tears when I left Hogwarts, and I felt barely any better. I hate this bloody place, and I swear to God I'll drop it as soon as I'm 17. It's already a few minutes, Moini is jabbering, a low buzz barely reaching my ear. I drink my juice warily, not even pretending to listen to her. She's never going to notice anyway. She's too taken waving around to her friends to make sure everybody spots her sitting close to me. Patrick and Francis are eating their breakfast, throwing quick glances time to time. They fancy her. She's hot as fuck, actually, and wouldn't mind banging her. For what it concerns me, they could be my guest. The only reason why I still didn't get rid of her is that she gives head very willingly and skillfully. Plus, she always allows me to do whatever my fancy suggests me, and one of two of my fantasy are not always granted so easily by other girls. Anyway, one cannot base a relationship on that, no matter how pleasant it is. Her rant is starting to dampen my enjoyment. So then, what do you think? She trills at one point, catching me unaware. What? I stammer, not having the slightest clue of what she's talking about. Weren't you listening to me, silly? She coos, running a hand in my hair. I force myself not to cringe annoyed. I was talking about tonight. Don't you want to meet me and my friends before curfew? No way! I cannot think to anything more utterly boring and mortifying than participate to one of those encounters, being stared over for hours and having to listen to brats engaging in a boasting fight about who's the richest, prettiest, coolest, and God only knows what else. I'm only a tool to win one of those titles. Can't. Training. I see Albus not too far off, arch an eyebrow inquiringly. We haven't got any training tonight. I send him a threatening look before he can open his mouth. Wasn't it tomorrow night? Patrick asks innocently, stuffing his mouth with an ash brown. For Christ's sake! I shot him a murderous look that make him understand his mistake straight away. Francis is trying to stifle a snicker. Tonight and tomorrow, I say thunderously, staring at him until he doesn't lower his eyes on his plate and mutter, "Oh, right, I forgot." Shame, Moini whines, wringing her lips. You know, I ask because blah 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 blah. My attention drifts away immediately. I glance again to the slithering table where the two girls are still chattering animatedly, looking at me time to time. I send a Yankee a seductive half smile and a nod. She blushes, and they start giggling. I'll look up with her by the end of next week. Unfortunately, Mohini glimpses this exchange. Was she getting breath between two sentences? Was she checking if I was listening to her? Did she realize in a glimmer of brain intelligence that I'm more than a boasting tool? Difficult to say, but she spotted it. She immediately scolds darkly at the Yankee and tighter a grip on my arm, preventing me to finish my breakfast. She pulls me down a bit to whisper in my ear. There is still 15 minutes before lesson starts. Do you want to sneak away for a sec? I swear to God I'll never understand girls. They catch me in my infidelity, or intention of it, and instead of blaming me, they always blame the other girl. It's amazing. I just get extra sex or whatever it's on the menu that day, and the girl become the bitch of hell. Unbelievable. Anyway, I don't let the opportunity slip. I think I deserve it after the morning rant I had to endure. I tell Francis and Patrick I'll catch up later, as they look at me enviously, and sliding an arm around their waist, we make our way to the closest broom cupboard, used before on countless of occasions when the weather outside doesn't allow us to hide into the bushes. She repays me amazingly for the endurance of her breakfast, but, unfortunately, we get out just when McGonagall is pouncing in front of it. Done. "What were you two doing in there?" she bellows, startled by our apparition. "Just chatting, Mistress," I answer coolly, while Moini tries to stifle a laughter, masking it with a caw. "Chatting, Potter? In the broom cupboard?" she hisses dangerously. "Yeah, the dining room was too noisy. We needed somewhere quiet. She wanted to give me something." "And what would that be?" she asked, narrowing her eyes suspiciously. I cannot let this chance slip through the net. It's too good. Shrugging my shoulder incessantly, I say, "A job of some sort. They really blowed me away." Mohini starts a lengthened mock cough to hide a fit of laughter, while McGonagall gets the shade of the Gryffindor's team. The funny thing is, she cannot acknowledge she understood me for obvious reason. So then I assume the most angelic demeanor I can muster, while Moini is finding difficult to hide her laugh any longer. 50 points from Gryffindor," McGonagall says stern, "and 20 from Hufflepuff, Miss Dara, and if I catch you again coming out from another cupboard, it will be detention, Potter." As she storms away, enraged, I snicker, just before hearing the stones draining from Gryffindor hourglass. Oh well, it was worth. "You are such a ledge," Moini giggles, giving me a snog so intense I'm ready to return in the cupboard straight away. She suggests ditching class, and I'd be very tempted. If it wouldn't be that we have history of magic with Ravenclaw, and I don't want to miss it. History of magic is the most boring subject in history. Never pretended to be in the slightest interested. I used to get good grades only because I studied from books, which paradoxically, it's more interesting than listening to Professor Beans. Lately, my grades dropped. I can't be arsed about studying anymore, no bloody point. Mom was the only person who really cared about it. Now I spend my time more pleasantly with babes or friends or experimenting with potions. It's amazing what you can achieve mixing ingredients in the right way. For example, if you get some chilling potion and you pour inside the right amount of the sleeping one, just a drop of few other ingredients, you can get as high as anything. You feel great and almighty, but at the same time maintaining control and perfectly cool. It's just properly lit. I made some spare and I take it when I feel particularly low. That is, very often. The trouble is, it seems to lose effect if you take too much of it. And when it eventually fades, you feel even worse than when you took it in the first place. I need to make some variation in the recipe as soon as I have the chance. I anyway never miss History of Magic. It's with Ravenclaw. Any Ravenclaw. There is Ophelia. I get a full hour where I can fantasize about what my life would be with her in it. All the time I get the chance to catch her chatting with friends, she's always saying something witty or clever. One can easily see she's a cut above the rest. It's years. I'm getting every opportunity to talk to her, but she always looks at me up and down with contempt. It's the only girl in the whole school who won't fawn over me like a kitten, and the only girl who I think I could seriously fall in love with. I've never been in love with any of the girls I hang out with. Never I gave a kiss that was felt that was more than a turn on. Patrick and Francis did. I envy them for it. They can attract a girl because of their personality. I cannot. I'm doomed to be admired, but never loved. And I cannot fall in love with a girl when the only reason she goes out with me is the luster of popularity, when only futilities come out from her mouth. Ophelia is different. She's above that rubbish. She doesn't see me as the son of somebody famous. She sees me as a person. She calls me by my name and not just Potter like all the other brats. She has something to say for herself, and I'm sure she could like me if I'd managed to convince her that it's worth to get to know me. The real me. I could drop my mask with her. She's not what you would call a perfect beauty, like Moini, for example. But I find her charming, a person that make you want to look twice. She hasn't got the perfect body either. She's quite flat, breast-wise, to be honest, no hips, no buttocks of any relevance. But then, I don't care. She's sitting 2 rows in front of me, taking notes. How can she survive the soporific effect of Professor Beans is beyond me. She pauses, scratches something on the parchment, and she sucks the end of her quill for a second, listening to the utterly boring lesson. I feel my mouth going dry watching her sucking the quill, and I have to concentrate my attention on something else for a few moments. Not Professor Beans, though, or I might seriously risk falling in a reversible coma. Francis, who tried unsuccessfully for the first quarter of an hour of engaging me in a game of battleship, is now staring emptily to the space in front of him. Mouth half open, head rested on his hand, propped up on an elbow that threatened to slip any moment. In a fit of mischievousness, I take my feather quill and I tickle his ear. He jumps out of his skin, making fall the ink bottle on the floor and smash with a sound crash. I have quickly to stifle a roar of laughter and almost choke myself. The whole classroom turns to look, Ophelia included, and seeing me as the origin of the prank, scold disapprovingly and turn back the attention on the desk where Professor Beans halts for a moment his speech, gazing blankly at us. "Podmore? Finnegan? Everything fine down there?" he says with his sepulchral monotone voice. "Yes, Professor." The bottle of ink just slipped. A bit too much enthusiasm in taking notes, I reckon, I say cheekily while I repair the damage with my wand, and the whole class, minus Ophelia, snickers. Francis is still trying to figure out what happened, blinking stupidly at the bottle of ink that is now full and wall on his desk. The momentary merriment is very short. After the first 2 sentences uttered by Professor Beans, the class is again in its stupors, Francis included. Not me, and not Ophelia, though. She takes her note diligently, and I think how nice it would be to take her at home to introduce her to Mum and Dad. That is, before to remember that I cannot take her at home, because of the Fidelius, and that Mum is not there anymore, because of that. I have also got the feeling that she could see my dad as the normal boring person he is and not worship him as a saint. That pleases me, and I think it would please him too. He would like her. Yes, I think it would. But then on a second thought, I don't bloody care if he would like her or not, because thanks to him, Mum will never have the chance to meet her. While I'm lost in fantasies about me and there walking hand in hand in Hogsmeade, snogging in the Hogwarts ground, and sneaking at night time into an empty classroom, the bell rings and everybody wakes up from the inducted sleep. Some stretch, some yawn, a few start to exchange a light sleepy chat. Ophelia shoves her note in her bag while her friend is making some remarks, looking at me. Their eyes quickly go into the door. I jump up to collecting my things in a hurry, telling Francis and Patrick I'll catch up later, at which they start taking the piss immediately. They know very well where I'm going. They have been witnesses of my hopeless attempts on Ophelia from day one, and they don't miss a chance to ridicule me for it, very pleased that there is at least one girl that I cannot have. What they don't get, and I'm not too eager to enlighten them either, is that it's not the excitement of a difficult conquest that brought me, but something more. I catch up with her, who is already turning the corner, her friend eyeing me behind her shoulder. "Hi, Ophelia," I greet, leaping in front of them, barring their way. "James," she says, slightly annoyed, without looking at me, and try to overtake. I don't allow her to. "Can I talk to you for a sec?" "I'll be late for my next class." "I know you have a free hour next," I say casually. I dated Ravenclaw with the only purpose of finding out her schedule. She passes by right at the moment, and seeing me talking to Ophelia sends her a disdainful look and an alluring one at me. I give her back a similar one. You never know. Ophelia, spotting it, blushes angrily. She looks so pretty when she is in a rage. "Why don't you follow her?" she snaps with an annoyed smirk. "She has got a free hour next. She might even let you inside her panties, if you ask nicely enough." "She already did plenty of times," I reply frankly, loving when she gets all jealous like this, and without any particular effort from my part. Her friend giggles stupidly, while she flushes even more. "Go then. Is it not your life purpose to get in as many panties as you possibly can?" "Actually, it isn't," I say casually, as she rolls her eyes with an emphasized skepticism. "I cannot pretend it's no fun, but you know what my life purpose is." And I stare at her so explicitly, she averts her gaze, and her blush is so enhanced she's basically glowing. "What do you want to talk about anyway? Don't you have a class to attend to?" She snaps, bringing back her eyes to me, sternly. She has got splendid hazelnut eyes. "I do, but I'll ditch it. I want to talk to you first about..." I look at her friend, who seemed glued to Ophelia with no intention whatsoever to leave me free-filled, staring in a way that makes me understand her life purpose quite clearly, letting me inside her panties. "Do you mind?" I smile my most charming smile, gesturing her to sod off. She giggles even more stupidly. "Of course not, Potter," she chirps, trotting away, but keeping throwing glances behind her shoulder. Ophelia sighs impatiently. "The answer is no, James." "I didn't even ask anything yet," I blurt out. "I know what you want to ask me, and the answer is no." It's almost 3 years that I'm begging her for a date. "The answer is no, then?" I ask, smirking, which she nods, stern, folding her arms on her breast. "I was about to ask you if you're completely certain you don't want to go out with me." She gapes, taken aback. She regains her composure quickly, though. "In that case, my answer is yes." "Come on, Ophelia, why not? I promise you I'll be a gentleman." Everybody passing by is staring, including Francis and Patrick, who, hearing my words, don't lose the chance to mimic a fuck behind their shoulders. I scowl at them so fiercely that Ophelia notices and turns just in time to spot them freezing in mid-gesture. I give them a look that tells them without any possible misconception that they will pay this very dearly at the first chance I get. They subdue their mirth immediately, and mumbling a greeting to Ophelia, they turn the corner, followed by my homicidal stare. "So then, why not?" I ask again, retrieving my charming smile while I lean against the wall. "I'm dating somebody." I dart up immediately, gobsmacked. "What? Who?" "Davis McGuire." "You gotta be kidding me! He's such a geek!" She colors, frowning. He's not! She bellows, offended. He is, come on, such a loser. He plays gobstones. So what? I arch an eyebrow meaningfully, taking back my position against the wall. Gobstones. Really. I cannot believe she chose that dork when she could have had me. I feel pretty offended. She falters. Even she cannot deny that whoever plays gobstones is king of Loserland. Well, he has got many qualities. Like? I spat with a grunt. He's smart. I'm smart too. Doesn't look like it. You can take a look at my grades if you don't believe me. They are... I stop a moment, reflecting that recently they haven't been that cracking after all. They were, I gabble. Before. And then I gulp, unsure how to crack on. I see her falter uneasy. She understood what I was about to say. Everybody knows what happened, of course. For weeks people didn't talk about anything else. They didn't even bother to lower their voices when me and Albus were passing by, as if it's not our mom who has been tortured and killed by a maniac. As if only because it's printed on a newspaper doesn't affect us. As if it's not our family and we could be pained by their canvassing it with so little sensitivity. At the end, it's only a juicy gossip, innit? And let's not even start with impertinent questions or morbid curiosity. Albus was distraught, avoiding everybody, even Rose. He refused to have anything to do with me until I swore solemnly I'm not going to change my name and move to Romania. I've been forced to swear I hate him not talking to me. That doesn't mean I return living with Dad. I'm almost of age anyway. I'll be able to choose. Anyway, since I'm back in this bloody school, I'm in a permanent long detention for all the scrapes I'm getting into to shut people's mouth, and it's common knowledge I failed every test submitted to me since. I don't want to see pity in Ophelia's eyes, though, because I know it's not a gossip for her. She sees for what it is. So I regain my wits quickly. I'll bring them to what they were if you agree to go out with me. Chuck the loser and go out with me. He's serious as well. I can be serious too. She raises her eyebrows skeptically. Really? I don't know why, but I've got the feeling he wouldn't be caught getting out of a broom cupboard just like... She pretends to look to an invisible watch on her wrist. Let's see. 1 hour and a half ago happened to you with that tough cow of Mohini. I recall in horror. How do you know? Therese was passing by. I roll my eyes. Even walls have eyes in this damn place. For God's sake, that means nothing. To you or to her? Both. She looks at me severely. Maybe not by your side. Have you ever stopped to consider it? I explode in a bitter laugh. Oh, please, don't make me laugh, Mohini. She doesn't give a damn about me. She just wants to be seen with me. It's different. Well, you cannot give that for granted. Come on, Mohini. Have you ever talked to her? Me? Never. What about you? She say accusingly. I shrug. As a matter of fact, I did. Or at least I tried, but it doesn't seem to be much in her head besides clothes, gossips, and a hell lot of me, and then me again. So then why do you hang out with her? Here I take a moment for reflection. I have got the slightest suspicion that my motives wouldn't make me honor. Perhaps Ophelia wouldn't think they are good enough motives after all. I must have them written on my face, however, because she blushes scarlet and scolds worse than ever. How can you expect me to go out with you when you are seen with a different girl every other week? I promise you that if you accept to go out with me, I won't as much as look at the others anymore. There will be only you. I say, keen, trying to caress her, but she stands back with a scowl, avoiding my hand. Why do you want to go out with me so much? She gushes. I'm taken aback, and thinking about the honest answer, I feel suddenly shy, which is not usual with me. Because, I start uncertain, a flush creeping on my neck. The corridor is empty now. Everybody is in class. I feel my mouth going dry, and I gulp. Because you make me feel as nobody ever made me feel before. Because I have this urge to kiss you every time I happen to look at your lips. Because I'm James for you and not Potter, and you could like me for it. Because when I seldomly manage to sleep properly, it's only because I fall asleep thinking about you. Because I think I love you already, despite I never heard a kind word escaping your mouth directed to me. But obviously I cannot say any of those sentences, for God's sake. I cannot expose myself so foolishly. She's just gonna despise me for it, make fun of me. Because you are smart and... I gabble sheepishly, but she interrupts me sharply in seeing my hesitation. I tell you why. I'm the only girl in school that see you for what you are and has no any intention whatsoever to become your umpteen prey, and the only reason you want to go out with me is to tickle your overinflated ego with the notion that you can get any girl you want. And then, when you will finally, slyly, make me fall for you, you'll dump me as you do all the others, and you will be able to laugh with your damn friends at how silly I've been. I won't be made the laughingstock in front of the whole school. Her face is purple, upset. I frown, bewildered at her words. Is this what she thinks? She has me totally misunderstood. No, Ophelia, you are wrong, I say, reaching out for her arm, trying to explain myself, but she shrugs me away contemptuously. No, I'm not. I'm not stupid, you know. I see how you behave with your friends, bragging about who shagged most, hooking up with girls, as if they are only objects to be used at your will. I try to silence her again to defend myself. It's actually them who use me to aggrandize themselves, for God's sake. But she doesn't allow me to retort. You think yourself so important just because you are Harry Potter's son, but you are only an overbearing moron, full of yourself with a total disregard of other people's feelings. You are totally incapable to feel anything for any human being. How could you expect me to believe you could feel for me? I flinch at the unfairness of what she had just said. Me? Incapable to feel anything for any human being? I think about how I tortured myself since Lily's death for my argument on Christmas Day when I pushed so much to go to Shell Cottage. How many times I wished I could turn back the clock and listen to my dad quietly and submissively when he told us we wouldn't have gone instead of arguing. How I loved my little sister and how I reproached myself bitterly every single day since. And I think about my mom, and how much I would have wished to have had the chance to protect her from the madman. How I miss her, how much I loved her. I think about the teddy bear for sunrise in my trunk, all the sleepless nights in terror that some other deranged individuals could go and try to kill her too, just because she is a Potter like me and Albus. I think about all the times I beat the crap out of Slytherins because they were pestering Albus, or about Rose, how many detentions I got to protect her from bullying. How can she judge me that way? How can she think that I cannot feel? How can she think me overbearing and full of myself? I never even got the chance to be any different in anybody's eyes. I am what I'm forced to be by everybody's expectation. This is just an image of me in which everybody wants to believe in. Disappointment and bitter tears make way to my eyes. But I don't want to cry in front of her, nor in front of anybody. So I use anger to subdue what it needs to be subdued. I take a big breath to calm myself. I can see her panting slightly, agitated by her own speech, spite on her face. And I understand, in a disheartening, revelatory moment, that I've been wrong all along in her regards. 3 years wasted. 3 years in building up something that has never been there. I too have created in my mind a person that doesn't exist. Somebody I hoped with all my might could save me from my solitude, from my anguish. She doesn't exist. She's not in Ophelia. Not anywhere. You know what? I say, after I manage to pull myself together. I thought you were different. I thought you could actually see what other people couldn't, and for a moment, and it was stupid of me, I grant you, but for a moment I hoped you were clever enough to understand what lies behind. But now I know I made a mistake. I say gutted, while she widens her eyes at my words. You are just like everybody else. You just see what you want to see. My voice is low and full of resentment. Don't worry, dear Ophelia, I continue with a bitter smile. From now on, I won't bother you anymore. And with these words, I leave her there, despite in waves, growing in intensity, rise in me, making it difficult not to let it overflow. I hear behind me Ophelia calling my name, but I won't stop. I kick furiously and armor on my way to vent out my frustration. It shatters on the floor with a noisy clatter. All the other armors start to complain loudly, causing a mayhem in the corridor. But I don't care. I feel angry tears swelling up again, and I'm not sure I'll be able to control them. I'm walking briskly towards the ground. I need some open air. And then I look for Moini, and I'll fuck her alright, because it's the only thing I can get from them. There is really no hope for me. This is my mask, and I must learn to keep it on.